Hello guys, and welcome to a new Steel Division video today by me, Vulcan. Today I have for you a 2 versus 2 on Colleville, and in this one I'm going to be playing with Betts, and we're using the 1st Panzerner. I'm using the 1st Panzerner, and Betts is going to be using the 15th Infantry Scots Division. So basically a lot of people always say to me, oh, the Polish are one of the weakest divisions. Honestly, I like to challenge that quite a lot. People put a lot of emphasis on veterancy, and I would agree that veterancy is extremely important. However, I think there are cases in which you can make no veterancy work, and there are units that don't depend on veterancy at all, in my opinion. Either way, on the opposing team we are going to be seeing a 352nd Division and a Panzer. So this is quite a nice combination, and it's a combination that I think it works well in like 2 versus 2 ranked, is like an infantry division with Panzer, because the infantry division can hold where you need to in the early game to allow the Panzer to ramp up into the late game, and they can really make like a seriously good push, like especially the Eichenlaub with the Panzer works so well because of like the Flak 88 spam and the IG-18 spam. Those things work really, really nicely. But either way, let's not talk about the Axis sort of composition and the strategy. Let's talk about the Allied side, which we are actually playing. So I'm going to be pushing the left side town with the Polish, and the reason I chose the left side town is because I've got a lot more space to work with, and something that the Polish really excel at is long range early engagement. So you can really push out the tanks with the 1st Panzerner, and they are an armoured division, so it makes sense that you would use a lot of tanks. But they have these Cromwell 6s, and although they don't have any veterancy, they still stun and do a lot of damage even when they don't hit, so that's fantastic. They are quite expensive to bring in at the start of the game, but if you utilise their 1,200 meter range, you can take out most AT guns, fire support weapons, and I think the 1st Panzerner is really a massive almost counter to a lot of the infantry decks that we're seeing at the moment on the Axis side. So 352nd, 91st Luftlandr and 716th Infantry. I think all of those can be countered quite nicely by the 1st Panzerner, because the 1st Panzerner has the Cromwell 6s that can engage the IG-18s and Pak 36s and whatever else from out of range, and that's a massive deal. So what I'm going to basically be doing is not relying so much on veterancy in this battle, just to prove that it can be done. And I'm going to be using basically one command unit with all of these units. And then over on the right side, I'm going to be bringing in command later on. But at the start, I don't really have any because I don't feel like I'm going to need it, especially with these Cromwells. And I've just basically got recon for the center. I'll just show you guys where my units are going. So I've got recon units going to these tree lines. And then I'm going to be following up with the Cromwells. You can see the fast move orders the blue lines for the Cromwells. And then I've got okay, so the AT gun's going to this one, and the recon's going to this tree line. Then I've got recon for the town, alongside 4 squads of rifles, an MG, a command unit, another couple of MGs there. So yeah, that's pretty much it. Just infantry to hold the bottom side of the town, whilst my Cromwells get into position to bombard into the side of it. Meanwhile, on the right side, Betts is just going to be rushing up with a lot of his infantry there. He's got the Honey Stuart on the road to help him out as well. Going to be using the rifle leader alongside Bren Group here, and he's also got an AVRE waiting to push up as well. So that can definitely help deal with the AT gun there, the SBW-234. If the AVRE gets on target, it's going to do a lot of damage. So he's going to be engaging the Pak 38. And that's already pinned down by the command carrier and the Honey, so that's going to be dying very quickly. Let's have a look over on the left side. I'm going to be engaging a lot of Osttruppen and Fusiliers. So he's got the IG-18, Fusilier, Osttruppen and command infantry combo. Basically the staple for a lot of infantry decks at the moment. And I'm simply just going to be engaging him from out of range of anything he has with my Cromwells. He's actually invested in a couple of Panzerjägers at the start of the game, which did catch me out quite a bit because I don't really have too much to deal with them. I basically just have the AT gun here. That's the only thing that can really take on a Panzer 30 or Panzerjäger 35. Cromwell can take shots at the Panzerjäger 35 and pin it down, but it's never really going to get a lethal shot. So Bet's making some decent ground here, getting the AVRE into a good position to kill off the MG, and he's slowly moving up with the infantry he has. He's got control over the right side with this AT gun. I'm actually losing my left flank quite hard because I didn't bring up any units onto that far left side. So that was a bit of a mistake on my part, not covering that off with at least like a rifles unit, just to make sure the front line didn't push in like that. Either way, one of my rifle squads is going to get knocked out. Cromwell's still going hard, moving up the 6-pounder to try and get some shots onto the Panzerjäger 35. That's also going to be accompanied by my Cromwell 6, and Cromwell 6 moving up there is going to be able to start to get shots onto the infantry in the town. Now, one thing that did affect me in terms of veterancy was with the AT guns, of course, because AT guns without veterancy are extremely inaccurate. So in that case, I would always recommend having like a command unit with them. But when it comes to like rifles, for example, the job of these rifles in the town is not to be veteran and kill the enemy infantry. It's literally just to be bullet sponges. So what I'm more worried about with the rifles in the town is basically what sort of cover they're in, more than anything else. Panzerjäger 35's playing with fire here, keeps moving forwards into range of my 6-pounder. I'm just trying to get the Cromwell up here to help and get line of sight onto the Fusiliers and stuff in the town. MG42 is going to get hit very hard by my Cromwell 6 as it reveals itself. And in order to hold back this infantry a little bit longer, I'm just bringing up some more MGs. So it looks pretty bad at the moment because, again, this left flank's kind of collapsing. He's trying to flank me now with the Panzerjäger there as well. My 6-pounder does get destroyed by opposing artillery in the orchard there, which is annoying, but we managed to make the Panzerjäger fall back, so don't have to worry about that for now. Reinforcing Vickers machine guns have come up, and they're going to be opening up onto the Osttruppen and the Fusiliers there. And I've also brought up this Cromwell 5, and that's going to be engaging the Panzerjägers. So Betz has managed to push pretty much all the way through with the help of the AVRE. Hasn't really bumped into anything yet that's been able to stop the AVRE from moving up, so yeah, doing pretty damn well. And what really could have stopped this was either a Panzerstreck squad or maybe just an AT gun on the road waiting to an ambush. So Cromwell 5 alongside the Cromwell 6s engaging the Panzer 35. This is another example of, I think, where command matters is just anything that uses AP. But when it comes to using HE, it doesn't matter at all. These Cromwell 6s are perfectly happy not using any veterancy or being accurate at all, because they can always do damage, for example, to these Osttruppen and keep them pinned down no matter what. This Panzerjäger is being a bit of a problem. Bet's going to come in with his Typhoon, try and get the kill there because they're open top, so he can definitely attempt to get the kill. Because HMG is going to go down. We've made a little bit of ground in the centre thanks to Bet's rifle squad. I'm going to finally be bringing up a Command Stuart to help us out with that command I was talking about. But yeah, the majority of the work I've done so far onto the opposing infantry hasn't been anything to do with veterancy at all. You can see the Osttruppen take damage no matter what. Now, thanks to Bet's pinning down the Panzerjäger with the Typhoon, I actually move forwards the rifles and capture it before it's retreated. My rifles here now engaging the MG42 as it moves across into the open. It's actually sitting on top of the road here. I am getting hit hard by the IG-18. But yeah, not going to kill off the MG42 before the rifles kill off the MG42. Either way, what's happening is since my opponent's actually pushed forwards very hard on this left side, we're sort of starting to cut him off. I'm bringing over a recon tank because this Stuart is more than good enough to take out an IG-18 at close range, and basically all that I notice here is IG-18 and an MG-42, so a recon tank is more than good enough to take out those units. Managed to take out a Panzerjäger up here as well thanks to the Cromwell 5. It gets into range of the command of, like, in the town, and that gives it the extra veterancy it needs to hit the accurate shot. I've got this command joining my Cromwell 6 there. And this Cromwell 6 is also moving to the left side, because if I can take back this ground, we're going to probably be going towards something like 58% territory lead, and we can get the +2 ticking. So currently running just the +1, and we have been in the lead for the majority of the game. The Cromwell 5's starting to hit the Osttruppen, and soon you'll see the push really start to begin. So just bringing up a spam of rifles with this tick of units. So the best thing about this division is with 90 points you can bring in 6 units of rifles, and here you can see the 6 units, and then I've got an extra one from leftovers. Cromwell 6 and the Command Stuart moving over to the left side here, quite simply to engage up the MG-42 and the IG-18. So MG-42 going to be found and killed very quickly. The IG-18 soon to follow with the recon tank. And this is a triple tank strategy that is used quite a lot with the Polish. Cromwell 6 accompanied by a Command Stuart and a Recon Stuart. You can also do it with a normal Cromwell as opposed to a Cromwell 6. You can do it with a Cromwell 5. One of my Vickers is going to be killed in the town here due to opposing artillery. But with the wave of rifles coming up, that's really going to allow me to push. So I've saved my Cromwell 6s for the majority of the game. I've got 3 on the map now. They're supported by Command Stuarts now as well. And I also have the Stuart Recon. So we're still in the end of Phase A, and I'm really starting to get the momentum going. And this is where the Polish division really excels. It's like late Phase A into early Phase B. So I'm pushing hard. I'm using my rifles to basically reveal the opposing Osttruppen, and then basically just going to allow my Cromwell 6s to go to work. So Fusilier is going to be killed off. I managed to take out the AT gun moving into this tree line thanks to the recon here. Managed to spot that and take it out. And basically all of these units have got like attack move orders to move on forward. So Cromwell's just attack moving and hitting the infantry as we move up. Basically pinning them down as I go. And this Cromwell is also going to be helping me out as I move up. I've also got a Cromwell just straight up on the street moving up and helping. So this was just like totally awesome because I've got all these units, close fire support on the street, killing off these infantry as I push forwards. And I've got fantastic recon. I've got recon on the left side from this Stuart. I've got recon on the right side with the infantry recon, and I've also brought up more infantry recon for the middle. I've got these recon infantry in this building, but even more there just to help me as I move up. Also bringing up a mortar carrier to help push on through. And this is where the momentum just really swings in my favour on this town. So I can take out the IG-18s, I can take out the Osttruppen, and I'm pretty much relying massively on tanks at the moment. So ideally what the enemy should be doing at this point is preparing sort of AT ambushes. So you can either go for like Panzerstrecks or Panzerfaust units in the town, or you can go for like AT weapons sort of in this orchard or like in these tree patches here. Just bringing up AT guns would have been perfect for stopping me from pushing so hard, but here we're going to see the Cromwell 5 take out another Panzerjäger, and that's really what they've been relying on in the early phases of this game. So I'm not sure if they basically ran out of AT guns, and because they were relying so much on the Panzerjägers though really just being countered by this division. So I've got the wall of armor moving up. You can see the Cromwell 6 on the left side, the triple tank basically on the left side, accompanied by a Cromwell 5 moving up there. Then I've got on the right side of this thing, I've got the Command Stuart and the Cromwell, and then another Cromwell 6 in the street. And literally just my rifles are running forwards, revealing the Osttruppen so that we can kill them off. So going into a 61% territory lead with the +2, and I'm going to continue to reinforce myself with more infantry, as you can see, towards where this mortar is, to just push on through the town as the game continues. So we're running 115 points per minute. I'm actually going to afford myself a Sherman 5 to help out with this push. Because the Sherman 5, the brilliant thing about Sherman 5 is they have the 50 cal and 2 30 cals, along with the main gun with 5 HE power. So they can put out a lot of power onto opposing infantry squads, and in a town, used correctly, they can do a lot of damage. So on the right, Bet's still sitting here with his AVRE, doing a lot of damage to the opposing player. Cromwell 6 is pushing on hard, going to be engaging the 120 mil there. I'm going to be hit by the first Nebelwerfer of the game, Nebelwerfer 41. Stug is going to come in and hit one of my Cromwells. So Cromwell 5 down. Going to have to deal with these Stugs now. I do have the Sherman 5 coming up the road as well, and I can engage the Stug with the Sherman at close range. I just got to be really careful about how I go about it. So just trying to get this recon Stuart into cover so it's out of line of sight of the Stug 3. But meanwhile, I'm just going to be pushing up on the left side, making this massive push into the front line there. And this Sherman's pretty much just opening up onto units where it can, because it's going to force the Stug 3 to react. As soon as the Stug 3 comes into the street, I can just reverse around the house here, so that's fine. Still able to move up with all of the infantry. Infantry has arrived in the town, got even more units coming up as well. A couple of AT guns alongside a command Sherman. And those AT guns are quite simply to counter the Stugs in the town. So moving up the Cromwell 6 there to engage the Stug. Rifle squad there get instantly pinned down and taken out by the Fusiliers and the MG42. That was a bit unfortunate. But these rifles are going to be revealing the MG42 and Fusiliers still, so I can engage them with the rest of my units. You can see the Erzas Trooper being pinned down very hard there by the Stuart 5. So he's trying to move the Stug 3 up to be effective, but he can't like use attack move properly because he's just going to keep firing at my rifles. What he needs to do with the Stug is make sure that he focuses my Cromwell and my Sherman 5 as he spots them, but I'm making it really hard for him to do that at the moment. So my Sherman 5 and Cromwell 6 still have line of sight onto the Fusiliers, whilst his Stug 3 does not have line of sight onto my Shermans. And that's exactly what I'm going for right now. So yes, all my infantry is pinned down, and I don't actually have a command unit here at the moment. Doesn't particularly matter since I still have the tank support nearby. I am bringing up, of course, the Sherman 3 with the command. So that will take the place of the command unit that died. But this is still pretty risky at the moment, since one unit coming down the road could have made all of this surrender. The Cromwell 6 there going hard onto the Fusiliers, just getting in the Sherman 5 into an ambush position as well. Going to be seeing the Stuart 5 have a go from the right flank. And my AT guns have finally arrived. So, Sherman 3 arrives. That's going to be trying to go for the shot onto the Stug 3. Providing the veterancy there. Stug 3 trying to get out of line of sight. Here comes the Typhoon though, going for that rocket strike. Going to be engaged by the ME-109. Going to be buying my Hurricane to try and help him out. Betts also brings up the Spitfire Mark 9, and we want to try and save this Typhoon. Looks like our opponent here basically saw that coming and decided to break off the Typhoon so he didn't lose his own plane, which I think is fair. He could have gone for the kill onto the Typhoon, but I think if he had, he would have lost his fighter, and it's probably more important for him to keep the fighter at this point in the game. But the push is still continuing. I don't have too much off-map to worry about because I'm playing against the 352nd and Panzer Lehr, so I'm pretty safe to move up like I am. The only thing I need to be worried about really is more Nebelwerfers. So 6-pounders pushing up here, rifles still pushing up. got the half-track pushing up, and I'm just seriously going hard onto this town, and I just love the way there was like a Stuart in the town supporting all of these rifles as they move up. Look how cool this looks. It's so beautiful. Engaging the Einsatztruppen up the road there as the Shermans help out in the town. This was so much fun, just like moving through the town with so much armor. It was really satisfying. What's going to happen over on this left side, Stug's actually going to ambush my tanks. My recon tank going to be going down there. Cromwell 6 is going to be trying to get away, but derps out quite a lot as I'm trying to give it different orders. I'm trying to give it a fast move order here to get onto the road and get back down to the town so that it sort of gets out of line of sight of the Stug. But as he gets onto the road, he gets hit by that Stug and dies. So they made their push, and they made ground for my rifles to move up. So I'm just going to leave the rifles there and maintain that ground for now. I'm going to have to just reinforce that with a couple of squads. And I'm actually going to be bringing in Dragoni with the Piats so that I can destroy that Stug. And in the meantime, just going to be carrying on. Got my Cromwell 6 behind cover here. My Sherman moves up, the Sherman 3 gets a shot onto the Stug 3, and we're going to be hitting that hard. Both the Stugs working, or both the Shermans working together to kill that Stug. Also going to be killing off the Grenadier, and we're making even more ground now into the town. So 6-pounder does get destroyed by the Nebelwerfer. So does one of my rifle squads. But I've got plenty of squads that are still healthy, so going to continue to move them forwards, accompanied by my Sherman 3s. And Bet's going to be bringing in some off-map for me now as well, so that we can stun opposing units. So things are going pretty damn well for us at the moment. This lovely push through the town with these tanks and stuff was just, like I said, so much fun to pull off. It's really uncommon that you see people commit so much armor to a town push, but I think with the Panzerner you can really get away with it. The only trouble was the Panzer IV here and the Stugs really doing a number on my units, and that Panzer IV hitting 2 shots in a row, first shot and second shot, to kill my Cromwell 6 and the Stuart on the right side. Now that is the only trouble with the Panzerner, is they get to a point where their armor really does fall off pretty hard, especially against like Panthers and so on. But against Stugs and Panzer IVs, you can play it close to your chest and like really sort of hide your units, and then like pop out and shoot them when you need to. That's really what you got to do. You got to like almost ambush your opponent the best you can. That's why getting away with using Shermans in the town works so well, because they don't have any line of sight onto me properly. Cromwell 6 here is going to be engaged upon by the Stug 3 and is going to get taken out. Sherman 5 though is going to find its way to target the Stug 3 there, but the Dragoni squads are coming. Sherman 5 does get taken down. Stuart is going to be going for the engagement as well, and basically what I'm trying to do is distract the Stug 3 long enough for my Dragoni to get into range with their Piats, and if they can get into range with their Piats, I should be safe to win the day here. So Dragoni there, boom, goes to Stug 3. Yes, I had to sacrifice a Cromwell 6 and the Sherman 5, but taking out the Stug on that left side gives me so much ground, so that's perfectly worth it in my book. Over on the right side, losing the tanks to the Panzer IV there wasn't ideal, but again, I've still got plenty of ground made in this town, and we're really doing very well right now. ME-109G0 going to be flying over my lines, get hit by the 50 cals. Do have our own planes in the sky now. I've got the Hurricane Mark IV, and I've also got the Mustang Mark III. Mustang Mark III is actually the slower variant, but for the Panzerner there. And they do have a Flak 88 on the field now, but that's going to get hit by Betts' artillery. So yeah, engaging at close range with these Einsatztruppen. I know they don't have a Panzerfaust, so I'm able to just push them very, very hard and very closely with the Sherman 3. Just got to avoid these Stugs on the right side of the town. So as you can see, I'm trying to keep all of my units on the left side of the buildings. In the centre, 6-pounders trying to engage the Panzer IV there, and I brought up a couple of Dragoni squads to try and reclaim these bunkers. So getting the bounces currently onto the Panzer IV there. My 2-inch mortar carrier does go down to the Stug 3, and my 6-pounder goes down in the middle to the Panzer IV. But we're still pushing very hard. There's our Strupen not doing enough to hold the line at the moment. And my Dragoni are in position on the left side. I'm going to have more Dragoni in position on the right side soon. You can see this Dragoni is getting its Piat on target. And we're going to be seeing the Stug 3 have its tracks broken and then be ambushed by the Sherman 5, Stug down. Going to be taking out the Nibelwerfer 41 there, thanks to the Sherman 3. One of Betz's off-map does get taken out by the Stug 3 there. That was providing its machine gun fire support for my units. So just got to be careful as I move up here. But Betz does have a challenge on the field, and he's going to be using that to engage the Panzer IV in the centre. Trouble is that Panzer IV does have the veterancy that the Challenger does not. Challenger only got 1-star veterancy, and it's going to go down to the Panzer IV. German 3 comes up and finishes off the Flak 41 that was initially engaged by Betz's artillery. And we're also going to be taking out the half-track there that was behind it. We're doing very well at the moment, and as you can see in the neutral perspective, not much left on the ground for the enemies. One of my Mustangs is going to go down there, and we can see my Hurricane Mark IV is not having a great time either, as it's going to be surrounded by the opponents. But as I fly past them, I go for the retreat to try and get it out of there, but that's definitely not going to be enough to save the Hurricane. But what is able to save the Hurricane is the end of the game, as our opponents decide to surrender, and after 23 minutes and 39 seconds we are victorious. 2,500 points. I think we've actually reached the points limit at the end there. I'm not entirely sure. Yeah, I think we did. But either way, there you have it. That was a game, and 1,780 kills to 1,345 losses. Not the best kill-death ratio in the world, but the momentum I had from phase A to phase B was so strong that it allowed me to push the entire way through that town. And generally towns are quite hard to break through, and I think my opponent was using the right sort of composition of troops, but I think the Panzerner just honestly counters that so well, because he was using exactly what I say to use as the 716th 352nd, which is the Osttruppen, Fusilier, Command and IG-18 combo with AT guns where you need them. That's like basically the bread and butter for infantry divisions on the Axis side. But with the Panzerner, you've got so many units to like break through that. It's the same with the Canadian division. They do really well against those types of play because they have the tanks, the 1200 meter range Cromwells specifically, to break through the IG-18s. Also with the Canadians you have the priests, which come in phase B, but they're still very, very good fire support units for breaking down those support weapons. So yeah, Bet's doing great on the right side, of course, 1,705 kills to 1,075 losses. If we have a look at the kills, a lot of the kills going down to this 6-pounder in the centre. That killed off a lot of units. Actually, this is from Betz's perspective. So these are Betz's 6-pounder kills. He got a lot of half-track kills with that 6-pounder. And yeah, that's really nice, actually. Kubel MGs, a few units there going down. It would have been nice to see our kills and losses, but I think just the way that I ended the replay there wasn't from my perspective. But either way, that's all for now, guys. Hopefully you enjoyed this replay. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Goodbye.